It's 2018. Ford makes an announcement. They're done with cars. Not scaling back, not restructuring. Done. Every sedan, every hatchback, gone. The only car they'll still build in America is the Mustang. The Fusion, the one that won awards, discontinued. The Focus, the one millions bought, dead. The Fiesta, brought over to fight imports, not worth it anymore. This is Ford, one of the big three, the company that practically built the American car industry, and they're walking away from cars. Here's what makes that hard to swallow. 10 years earlier, Ford nearly died. Along with General Motors and Chrysler, they were on the edge of collapse. The whole world watched Detroit's automakers go to Congress, asking for a lifeline. And the diagnosis was pretty simple. They'd ignored fuel-efficient cars. They'd lost ground to Japanese competitors. They'd gotten so addicted to trucks and SUVs that when gas prices spiked and the economy fell apart, they had nothing else to sell. So they promised to change. Smaller cars, more efficient vehicles, actually compete. They got their second chance. And 10 years later, Ford says they're getting out of cars entirely. And it wasn't just Ford. By 2018, all three of them, Ford, GM, Chrysler, had quietly made the same call. The cars Americans actually wanted to buy? They basically handed that market to Toyota, Honda, Hyundai. Detroit would go back to trucks and SUVs, the exact strategy that nearly destroyed them in 2008. So if you almost died because you couldn't make good cars, why would you stop making cars at all? Late 2008. 3 CEOs pull up to the Russell Senate office building in Washington. Rick Wagoner from General Motors, Alan Mulally from Ford, Robert Nardelli from Chrysler. And this time, they're driving hybrids. A Chevy Malibu, a Ford Escape, a Chrysler Aspen. Because the month before, they flew to DC in private jets to ask for bailout money. The optics were not great, burning thousands of dollars in jet fuel to ask Congress for billions. So now they try a different approach, more humble, more contrite. We're here today because we made mistakes, Wagoner tells the Senate Banking Committee. We're sorry to be asking for this support. These were the big three. For decades, they didn't just dominate America, they helped define the global car industry. Now they're asking for help to survive. How they got here wasn't a mystery. They ignored fuel efficiency for years. When gas prices spiked in the 1970s, then again in the 2000s, Americans pivoted to Japanese imports, smaller, lighter, more efficient. Toyota, Honda, Nissan. Meanwhile, Detroit kept building what paid, trucks, SUVs. By 2006, Consumer Reports ranked the 10 best cars. All 10 were Japanese. Then the 2008 recession hit. Car sales collapsed, and the big three started bleeding money so fast they couldn't make payroll. Congress didn't want to do it. A bailout vote failed. But eventually, President Bush went around the legislative branch and approved $17 billion immediately, with more coming under Obama. And the deal came with conditions. Restructure, cut costs, and, most importantly, build the fuel-efficient cars you've been ignoring. The promise was clear. We learned our lesson. We'll build smaller, efficient vehicles. We'll compete properly this time. We won't make the same mistake again. The bailout money came with change. Real change. General Motors didn't just restructure. They legally became a new company. Old GM went into bankruptcy, sold its valuable assets to a new, government-backed GM, and became Motors Liquidation Company. And the new GM started cutting. Hummer, gone. Too gas-hungry for the new era. Saturn, shut down. Pontiac, ended. Saab, sold within a year. A third of their US workforce, gone. 35% of American executives, out. The message was simple, lean, efficient, focused on the future. Chrysler followed a similar path. They partnered with Fiat, Italian expertise to help them build better light passenger vehicles. Keep what works, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler. Fix the sedans, make them competitive. Ford took a different route. They had already sold off Aston Martin, Land Rover, Jaguar, luxury brands they couldn't sustain, and they managed to avoid taking federal bailout money by mortgaging everything, including the Ford name itself. But they pivoted too. The Fusion, redesigned, fuel efficient, award-winning. The Focus, brought back, refined. The Fiesta, imported from Europe to compete with small imports. For a moment, just a moment, it looked like Detroit got it. They built too many trucks, ignored too many warnings, and nearly collapsed because of it. Now they were building the cars Americans actually wanted. Smaller, smarter, efficient. The restructuring wasn't just public relations. It was real. And maybe they actually learned something. It starts in 2016. Chrysler goes first. They announced they're ending production of the Dodge Dart and the Chrysler 200. Two economical sedans. Two "we learned our lesson" cars. Discontinued. They keep the Challenger. They keep the 300. The muscle and the luxury. But the affordable, fuel-efficient sedans? Not worth it anymore. At the time, it looked like a Chrysler problem. Maybe they just couldn't compete. Maybe their sedans really were that bad. Then, 2018, Ford makes the announcement we started with. Everything except the Mustang? Gone. Fusion, Focus, Fiesta, all of it. 10 years after nearly dying, they're abandoning the exact market segment they promised to fix. And GM doesn't stay behind. By the early 2020s, they follow the same path. The Chevy Impala? Gone. The Cruze? Discontinued. The Volt, the electric hybrid that was supposed to be the future? Ended. The Malibu, Cadillac CT6, XTS, Buick LaCrosse? All gone. Within a decade of almost bleeding out because they couldn't make competitive cars, all three companies stopped making cars for the American market, almost entirely. 3 separate companies, 3 separate restructurings, 3 separate promises, and the same decision. Go back to trucks and SUVs, the exact strategy that nearly destroyed them. Now, you could say they're just following demand. Americans want SUVs now, right? But here's the thing about that demand. It's not exactly organic. There's a reason the big three keep choosing SUVs. And it's not because Americans all woke up one day and decided they needed a vehicle the size of a tank to buy groceries. It's because the game is tilted. Start with CAFE standards, corporate average fuel economy, rules from the 1970s that force automakers to hit fuel efficiency targets. Sounds straightforward, except the standards split vehicles into 2 buckets, passenger cars and light trucks. And light trucks get easier targets, much easier. So if you can sell something as a light truck, you don't have to make it as efficient. And what counts as a light truck? Here's the definition they lean on. Under 6,000 pounds, designed to transport property or people, or generally designed for off-road use. That last part is doing a lot of work, because under that definition, a Toyota RAV4 can qualify, a Honda CR-V can qualify, a Ford Explorer can qualify. Most of the SUVs Americans drive have never touched a dirt road, but on paper, they're for off-road use. So they get the easier standards. That's one trap. Then there's another one, 1964, the chicken tax, a retaliatory tariff that slaps a 25% tax on imported trucks. If foreign automakers want to sell trucks in America, they either build them here with American labor, or they pay a massive penalty. For Detroit, that's a gift. In the truck market, their competition has to play by the same expensive rules they do. Meanwhile, Japanese automakers built their sedan dominance partly because they could build overseas and import cheaply. So the math becomes simple. Build SUVs that count as trucks, benefit from looser fuel rules, face less foreign competition in your most profitable category, and charge more. Because the profit margin is the real magnet. An SUV versus a sedan, the material cost isn't wildly different. The labor cost isn't wildly different. But SUVs get sold as safer, more capable, more necessary. And Detroit can price them higher, a lot higher. So for Detroit executives, every incentive points one way. Build trucks. Build SUVs. Call them trucks. It's the easiest money on the board. And after 2008, when they needed cash flow fast, they went right back to it. The problem is, when you stop making competitive sedans for a decade, people stop trusting you to make cars at all. Which brings us to the next consequence. Now jump to 2024. Chrysler, Ford, and GM lead the nation in recalls, first, second, and fourth place respectively. Then 2025. Consumer Reports publishes their reliability rankings. No Detroit brand in the top 10. And in the last 3 years, only one Big Three brand, Buick, has cracked the top 11 once. This isn't just about rankings. This is about what people think happens after they buy your car. Let's take GM. 2025, they recall 600,000 vehicles. The issue is the L87 engine, a massive 6.2-liter V8. It powers Suburbans, Tahoes, Silverados, Escalades, Yukons, basically the entire big GM lineup. And it fails, completely, often before 100,000 miles. Now here's the part that lands like a brick. People had been complaining for 6 years. 28,000 registered complaints, 12 crashes, 42 fires. GM investigates internally in 2022, 2023, 2024. Finds nothing. Not until the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration gets involved does GM finally admit the problem. Issues with the crankshaft, connecting rods, engine bearings. 6 years of catastrophic failures, and the company moves only when the government forces it. Or take Chrysler. In the 2010s, an emissions testing scandal. Smaller than Volkswagen's, but the same idea. Certain Jeeps and Ram trucks built between 2014 and 2016 were set up to pass lab tests while violating standards on real roads. Over $1 billion in settlements and fees. And eventually, Fiat Chrysler pleads guilty to criminal conspiracy to cheat emissions testing. These aren't just mechanical problems, they're trust problems. When your engine fails and it takes 6 years to acknowledge it, when your vehicle is designed to cheat emissions tests, when recalls become so routine that people just expect them, people stop buying your cars. And here's what makes it worse. Detroit can see it happening. They see the rankings. They see customers walking away. And they still don't fix it. Because for the people making the decisions, the system is working exactly as intended. You just have to look at who the system is built to benefit. So let's switch the question. Why would an executive make choices they know will hurt the company later? Because they're not stupid. Everyone agrees on that part. These CEOs don't stumble into the top job by accident. They have elite credentials, decades inside the industry. They know what a good car looks like. So if they understand the basics, why does Detroit keep choosing strategies that erode quality, lose customers, and bleed market share? The answer isn't incompetence, it's incentives. Here's how CEO pay works at most major corporations. There's a base salary, usually a few million. But the real money isn't the salary. It's stock awards, stock options, performance bonuses. And those rewards tend to track 2 things: quarterly earnings and stock price. Not the 5-year outlook, not customer trust 10 years from now. This quarter, this year. So picture the choice. Spend $2 billion on research and development, build better engines, improve manufacturing, and maybe that pays off in 7 years. Or cut $2 billion in costs, lift this quarter's profit, watch the stock react, and collect a $15 million bonus. Which one gets rewarded? The cut, almost every time. And it's not because they don't understand the damage. They do. But quality doesn't collapse overnight. It shows up later, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. By then, the executive who made the decision might be gone, another company, another title, or retired. And either way, they already got paid. Same story with layoffs. Cut 10,000 workers, the profit margin jumps immediately. Wall Street likes it. The stock moves. Bonuses trigger. The fact that layoffs drain institutional knowledge, slow production, and make quality worse down the line, that lands on someone else's desk later. Same story with sedans. Making competitive cars takes investment. Better engines, better materials, years of testing. That hurts margins now. Doubling down on high-margin trucks and SUVs, where you already have the plants, the marketing, and the regulatory loopholes. That boosts profits now. And the executives who made that call got rewarded for it, even if it meant giving up an entire market segment. even if it trained customers to stop trusting Detroit, even if it slowly poisons the company. This is the part that's uncomfortable. The system doesn't consistently reward building good cars. It rewards extracting maximum value in the shortest time window. And most of the people pushing the levers aren't positioned for the long haul. CEO tenures often don't stretch that long. Many big investors aren't holding for a decade either. They want returns now, not a promise that quality will improve 10 years from now. So when you ask, why do they keep making the same mistakes? For the people getting paid, they're not mistakes. And this is where it gets messy. Some people say a CEO should do the right thing anyway. Ignore the incentives. Build good cars because it's the right thing to do. Other people say, if you don't like the system, don't take the job. But the real question isn't about personal ethics. It's whether a system that reliably produces bad cars is working exactly as designed. If you want to see this system in real time, look at Stellantis. 2021, Chrysler merges with PSA Group, a European conglomerate, and they form Stellantis. New company, new leadership, fresh start. By 2023, they have a year Wall Street loves. Record profit, $20 billion. CEO compensation, $40 million. Shareholder payouts, about $7.5 billion. On paper, that's a victory. So how do you get there? Price increases. Across Jeeps and Dodges, some models jump by thousands. At the same time, factory layoffs. Workers who'd been building these vehicles for years, gone. And then they close an entire assembly plant. The strategy isn't hidden. Charge customers more, pay workers less, build less. Profit goes up, the stock gets support. Executives and shareholders get paid. Mission accomplished. Except the bill still shows up. By late 2023, cracks start showing. Workers strike because they're watching record profits while their jobs disappear. Jeep and Dodge reputations take hits. Corner cutting gets easier to spot. Reliability complaints rise. And then something happens that executives hate more than bad press. The cars start sitting, unsold. Average days to sale climbs. Inventory backs up. Customers notice the price went up, but the product didn't. In a lot of cases, it got worse. Because when you lay off the people who know how to build something right, you don't just cut cost, you cut memory. So by 2024, Stellantis is in trouble. Sales down, inventory up, trust eroding. But here's the part that tells you nothing changed. 2025, more layoffs get announced. Shareholders vote to maintain dividend payouts. The strategy doesn't reverse, because for executives and shareholders, 2023 already happened. They already got paid. And you could argue Stellantis is just doing what companies are supposed to do: maximize shareholder value. Technically, you'd be right. The real question is whether a system that calls this success is measuring the right thing. Because if you own one of those cars, or you worked at that plant that closed, or you're watching a brand burn its reputation to make quarterly numbers, it doesn't feel like success. It feels like extraction. And this is where it lands. The big three now control only 40% of the US auto market. 40%. These companies used to define American manufacturing, American innovation. Now they're holding on to a minority share in their home country. And it gets more uncomfortable. 2024. For the first time in decades, the top-selling vehicle in America isn't the Ford F-150. It's the Toyota RAV4. Just sit with that for a second. In a category built to favor American manufacturers, light trucks, protected by tariffs, helped by looser rules, Americans choose a Japanese vehicle over what Detroit sells. Not in sedans, where Toyota has always been strong. In the space Detroit treats like home. And it's not just Toyota. Tesla proved American car innovation is still possible, just not from Detroit. Through the 2010s and into the early 2020s, Tesla dominates the electric vehicle market. Built from scratch, no legacy plants to untangle, no decades of internal habits to protect. They just build electric cars people actually want. And now Rivian is doing something similar with electric trucks. A category Detroit should own by default. A startup is taking it. Because when you're not trapped inside a structure that rewards short-term extraction over long-term quality, you can move differently. Meanwhile, foreign competitors don't slow down. Hyundai and Kia keep eating into the electric market with affordable, reliable vehicles. Honda launches the Prologue. Even where the big three have every advantage, tariffs, loopholes, home market familiarity, they still lose ground. Because Americans have learned something over the last 2 decades. Detroit cars break, they catch fire, they fail emissions tests, they need recalls. And when you complain, it can take years and sometimes a federal investigation before anything changes. So people buy Toyotas, or Hondas, or Hyundais, or they buy Teslas and Rivians, American companies that prove the problem isn't that Americans can't build good cars, it's that Detroit won't. And the walls start closing in. Foreign competition from every direction. Domestic startups proving the old excuses don't hold up. Customers who don't trust the Detroit badge anymore. And Detroit's response stays familiar. More layoffs, more dividend payouts, more focus on quarterly numbers. The addiction keeps going. Because for the people making the decisions, it's still paying.
2025.
Stellantis announces another round of layoffs. Different year, same strategy. Shareholders vote to keep the dividend payouts going. The stock needs support. Investors need returns. And the fact that the company is losing market share, losing trust, and watching competitors take ground in every category, that's a long-term problem. And long-term problems don't hit this quarter's earnings. So this is where we are now. The big three can see what's happening. They see Tesla and Rivian proving American car innovation is still possible. They see Toyota winning in the truck category that was supposed to be their safe space. They see Hyundai and Kia taking electric market share. They see their own reliability rankings getting worse year after year. They know. But the system that creates these outcomes is still in place. CEO compensation is still tied to short-term performance. Shareholder pressure still demands immediate returns. The same incentive structure that makes cutting research and development more profitable than building better cars. The same structure that makes laying off experienced workers more rewarding than investing in quality. The same structure that makes abandoning sedans look like smart business. It's all still there. And as long as it is, the decisions won't change. Because from the executive seat, it still works. They still get paid. The company might be shrinking. Customers might be walking away. The future might look bleak. But that isn't the problem they're measured on. Not really. By the time it becomes unsustainable, they're usually gone, retired, at another company, or wealthy enough that it doesn't matter. And then the next CEO walks in, facing the same scoreboard. Make the quarter look good, lift the stock price, get paid, repeat. The walls keep closing in, competitors from every direction, customers who don't trust Detroit, an industry shifting faster than these companies can adapt. But the addiction to short-term profits, that part doesn't go away. This is still happening, right now. The cycle continues. If you found this analysis useful, consider subscribing. We try to understand the systems behind the headlines, not just react to them. Thanks for watching.